When my husband Marcus died, my family chose my sister's engagement party over his funeral. They left me to bury him with only 13 people there while they danced and ate cake 30 miles away. I felt completely alone and betrayed. But 3 days later, a lawyer called about Marcus's will. My family laughed when they had to come to the reading. What could a car mechanic possibly leave behind? $26 million. That's what. And he left every penny to me and our kids. My family got nothing. But here's what will haunt you until the very end. What if the man I buried wasn't actually my husband? And what if someone I never met loved my family enough to die protecting us? Those secrets will change everything you think you know about love. I'm standing in my kitchen holding a piece of paper that might as well be a knife through my heart. The funeral director's voice still echoes in my head from our phone call 10 minutes ago. Mrs. Chen, we need final numbers for tomorrow's service. How many people should we expect? I count on my fingers like a child learning math. Me, Emma, who's 12, Sam, who just turned 9, Marcus's brother Jake is flying in from Seattle tonight. Maybe 10 people from the auto shop where Marcus worked. Mrs. Peterson from next door said she'd try to come. 15 people. Maybe 16 if I'm lucky. 15 people to say goodbye to the man I loved for 17 years. The man who made me coffee every morning and held my hand during scary movies. The man who taught our kids to ride bikes and helped with homework every single night. Marcus deserves hundreds of people. He deserves a church so full that people have to stand in the back. He deserves flowers and speeches and tears from everyone whose life he touched. Instead, he gets me and 2 confused children and a handful of strangers. I know why the numbers are so low. I know exactly why. Tomorrow is also my sister Becca's engagement party. Same day, same time. The party she's been planning for 6 months. The party with fancy gold invitations and a catered dinner at the country club. The party that's more important than my husband's funeral. My hands shake as I spread peanut butter on bread for the kids' lunch tomorrow. I have to make them something to eat after we bury their father. Normal things like sandwiches and apple slices, because life goes on even when your world ends. When Marcus got his cancer diagnosis 3 weeks ago, I called Becca right away. "Can you postpone the party?" I asked her. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Just for a little while? Marcus is really sick." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Nora, you're being dramatic like always. Marcus is young and strong. He'll beat this thing easy. Besides, David's family is flying in from California. The country club is booked solid for the next year. Do you know how hard it was to get this date?" But Marcus didn't beat it. The cancer took him faster than anyone expected. 3 weeks from diagnosis to death. 3 weeks of watching the strongest man I knew fade away to nothing. My phone rings while I'm cutting crusts off Sam's sandwich. Mom's name flashes on the screen. "Hi, sweetheart," she says, and her voice sounds tired. "How are you holding up?" "I've been better." I try to keep the anger out of my voice. "Are you coming tomorrow?" The silence stretches too long. "Oh, honey. You know how important this is to Becca. She's the baby of the family. This is her special day." I set down the knife before I do something I'll regret. "Marcus is dead, Mom." "I know, and I'm so sorry. But he's at peace now, isn't he? He's not suffering anymore. Becca only gets engaged once." I hear Dad talking in the background. Something about the photographer they already hired. Something about deposits they can't get back. "We'll make it up to you," Mom promises. "Maybe next week we can all have a nice dinner to remember Marcus. Just family." Just family. The same. Family that's choosing champagne over my tears. "Mom." "I have to go, sweetheart. Becca needs help with the flowers. You understand." She hangs up before I can say anything else. I stand there holding the phone, listening to the dial tone. In the living room, Emma is helping. Sam with his math homework. They keep their voices low, like noise might break what's left of our world. They've been asking all week where Grandma and Grandpa are, where Aunt Becca is, where Uncle Dave is. I keep telling them everyone's sick with the flu. It's easier than explaining that cake matters more than our tears. Marcus would have come. If it was reversed, if someone in my family died on the same day as something important to us, Marcus would have canceled everything. He would have been there, in his best suit, holding my hand and making sure I didn't fall apart. That's the difference between the family you're born into and the family you choose. I finish making the sandwiches and wrap them in foil. Tomorrow, after we put Marcus in the ground, Emma and Sam will be hungry. They'll need normal food and normal conversation and someone to tell them everything will be okay. That someone will be me. Just me. I think about calling Becca one more time. I think about begging her to come, to choose us over her party just this once. But I already know what she'll say. She'll tell me I'm being selfish. She'll remind me that she's been planning this for months. She'll make me feel guilty for asking, so I don't call. Instead, I go upstairs to pick out clothes for tomorrow. Something black for the funeral. Something that won't show tear stains. Outside, life goes on like nothing happened. Cars drive by. Dogs bark. The neighbors' kids play in their yard. The world keeps spinning even though mine stopped 3 days ago when Marcus took his last breath. Tomorrow I'll bury my husband with 15 people watching. My family will be 30 miles away, celebrating love while I mourn it. But what they don't know yet will change everything. What they don't know will make them regret this choice for the rest of their lives. The funeral home feels like a cathedral built for giants when it's almost empty. I chose Marcus's favorite blue tie this morning, the one with tiny silver dots that he wore to Emma's school plays. His hands look peaceful folded on his chest, but somehow wrong, like he's sleeping in someone else's bed. Emma sits on my left side, Sam on my right. They've been asking questions all morning that I can't answer. Where's Grandma? Where's Grandpa? Why isn't Aunt Becca here? I keep telling them everyone got sick at the last minute. The lies taste bitter in my mouth, but the truth would taste worse. She has the flu, I whispered to Emma when she asked about Becca for the 3rd time. A really bad flu. Emma nodded, but her eyes said she didn't believe me. 12-year-olds are smarter than we give them credit for. Marcus's brother Jake sits in the row behind us. He flew in from Seattle last night, tired and confused and angry. He keeps looking at the empty chairs around us like he's waiting for more people to walk through the doors. "Where's your family, Nora?" he asked me quietly before the service started. I couldn't answer him. If I tried to explain, I'd start crying and never stop. So I just shook my head and looked away. The funeral director, Mr. Morrison, stands at the front with a sad smile that looks practiced. He's probably done this 1,000 times. Probably seen 1,000 almost empty rooms and pretended it was normal. Behind us, I count the people who came. Mrs. Peterson from next door, wearing a black dress that smells like mothballs. 3 guys from Tommy's auto shop where Marcus worked. They look uncomfortable in their suits, like they borrowed them from bigger men. 2 teachers from Emma's school. Jake's friend who drove him from the airport. A woman I don't recognize who says she worked with Marcus on some computer project. 13 people total. Lucky 13. The preacher starts talking about Marcus like he knew him personally. He didn't. Marcus hated church, said it was full of people pretending to be good on Sundays. But Marcus would have laughed at this man trying to make him sound holy. Marcus Chen was a man of faith, the preacher says. Marcus believed in fixing things that were broken and helping people who needed help. He believed in pancakes on Sunday mornings and bedtime stories every night. He believed that Actions mattered more than words. The preacher doesn't mention any of that. He was devoted to his family, the preacher continues. That part is true. Marcus would have walked through fire for me and the kids. He proved it every day for 17 years. Emma reaches for my hand when the preacher talks about heaven. Her palm is sweaty and small. Sam kicks his feet against the chair, a nervous habit he's had since he was little. My phone buzzes in my purse. I try to ignore it, but it buzzes again. And again. During the final prayer, I sneak a look. 3 text messages from Becca. The first one is a photo of her and David cutting a huge white cake shaped like a heart. Everyone in the background is laughing and clapping. I see Mom and Dad right there smiling, like it's the happiest day of their lives. The second message says, "OMG, this cake is amazing. You would love it." The third one, "Wish you were here. Missing you." Missing me. While I'm burying her brother-in-law, 30 miles away. I turn off my phone and put it back in my purse. After the service, we drive to Cedar Hill Cemetery in a line of 4 cars. The grave is under an old oak tree that Marcus would have liked. He always said he wanted to be somewhere with shade. The workers wait nearby with their shovels. They look bored, like this is just another Tuesday morning for them. Maybe it is. Jake puts his arm around my shoulders as they lower the casket. "He was the best brother-in-law I ever had," he says, quietly. "The best man I knew." I nod because I can't speak. Marcus was good. He was the kind of man who stopped to help strangers change flat tires, who brought me coffee in bed every morning for 17 years, who never once complained about anything, even when he was dying. Sam throws a handful of dirt on the casket and starts crying. Not the quiet tears he's been holding back all week, but the loud, angry sobs of a 9-year-old who doesn't understand why his daddy had to leave. I pick him up and hold him tight. He weighs almost nothing, like grief has made him hollow. "I want Daddy back," he cries into my shoulder. "I know, baby. I want him back too." Emma stands beside us, not crying but not talking either. She's been the strong one all week, helping me plan the funeral and taking care of Sam when I couldn't function. 12 years old, and already learning that sometimes you have to be the grown-up. When we get home, the house feels too quiet. Marcus's coffee cup is still in the sink from 4 days ago. I can't bring myself to wash it. His reading glasses are on the kitchen table next to yesterday's newspaper, folded to the sports section like he just stepped away for a minute. But he won't be coming back to finish reading about the baseball scores. Emma makes mac and cheese for lunch because I forgot to plan anything. Sam sets the table. With 4 plates out of habit, then stares at the extra one for a long time before putting it back in. The cabinet. We eat in silence, the sound of our forks scraping against bowls too loud in the empty house. That afternoon, while the kids watch TV, I sit in Marcus's recliner and think about Becca's engagement party. I imagine her dancing with David while their friends take pictures. I imagine Mom and Dad telling everyone how beautiful she looks. I imagine Uncle Dave making toasts about love and happiness. I imagine all of them having the time of their lives while we came home from a cemetery. My phone rings, Mom's name on the screen again. "Hi, sweetheart," she says, and she sounds tired but happy. "How was the service?" "How do you think it was?" "I'm sure it was lovely. Marcus would have been proud. Marcus would have been proud of his 13-person funeral while his wife's family celebrated 30 miles away. The party was beautiful, Mom continues, missing my sarcasm completely. Becca looked like a princess. The flowers alone must have cost a fortune. And the food. They had shrimp and those little fancy sandwiches, and I hang up. That night, Emma and Sam both climb into my bed. We lie there in the dark, listening to the house settle around us. Every creak sounds like Marcus coming home. Every shadow looks like him standing in the doorway. "Mom?" Emma whispers. "Are you mad at Grandma and Grandpa?" I think about lying, about protecting them from the truth a little longer. "Yes," I say instead. "I'm very mad." "Me too," Sam says, his voice small in the darkness. "Daddy would have come to my baseball game even if it was on Uncle Dave's birthday." He's right. Marcus never missed anything important. He would have been there no matter what else was happening. "Are we still family with them?" Emma asks. I think about that for a long time. About what family really means. About the difference between people who share your blood and people who share your burdens. "I don't know, baby," I finally answer. I honestly don't know. We fall asleep holding each other, three broken people trying to figure out how to be whole again. But tomorrow will bring news that changes everything. Tomorrow, I'll learn that Marcus had secrets. Big secrets. The kind of secrets that will make my family wish they had chosen differently. The kind of secrets that will make them very, very sorry. 3 days after the funeral, I'm still wearing the same pajamas when the phone rings. Emma and Sam are at school, trying to pretend their lives are normal again. The house smells like the tuna casserole Mrs. Peterson brought over, but I haven't eaten much of anything since Marcus died. "Mrs. Chen, this is Robert Fitzgerald from Fitzgerald and Associates. I was your husband's attorney." I sit down hard on the kitchen chair, the one with the wobbly leg that Marcus always meant to fix. Marcus never mentioned having a lawyer. We didn't have money for lawyers. We barely had enough money for the mortgage and our old car payments. "I'm sorry for your loss," Mr. Fitzgerald continues, and his voice sounds kind but professional. Marcus was a good man. He came to see me about 6 months ago, right after his diagnosis. My stomach drops like I'm falling down a deep hole. "I think there's been a mistake, Mr. Fitzgerald. Marcus just found out he was sick 3 weeks ago." The silence on the other end of the line stretches too long. "Mrs. Chen, your husband knew about the cancer much longer than he told you. He wanted to protect you and the children. He spent those 6 months getting his affairs in order." The room starts spinning around me. Marcus knew he was dying for 6 months and didn't tell me? We could have had more time together. Real time. Not those awful 3 weeks of hospitals and treatments that everyone knew wouldn't work. I think about all the nights he held me while I cried about his diagnosis. All the times he promised everything would be okay. All the times he said the doctors caught it early. He was lying the whole time. "Mrs. Chen? Are you still there?" "Yes," I whisper, but my voice sounds far away. Marcus left very specific instructions. He wanted the will reading to take place exactly 1 week after his funeral. That would be tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The reading must include your immediate family. "They won't come," I say, thinking about Mom and Dad and Becca still celebrating the engagement. They didn't even come to his funeral. The will requires their presence. If they don't attend, they forfeit any inheritance rights. Marcus was very clear about this condition. Inheritance? What inheritance? We lived paycheck to paycheck. Our savings account had maybe $300 on a good month. We shopped with coupons and bought generic cereal. Marcus drove a truck that was older than our marriage. "Mr. Fitzgerald, I think you have the wrong family. We don't have money. Marcus worked at Tommy's auto shop fixing cars. I work part-time at the library. We're not the kind of people who need wills and lawyers." He's quiet for a moment, and I hear papers rustling. "Mrs. Chen, your husband was a very smart man, and he loved you very much. Please trust him. One more time. Can you get your family to the reading tomorrow?" After I hang up, I sit in Marcus's recliner and try to make sense of what I just heard. 6 months. He carried that secret for 6 months while I complained about dirty dishes and unpaid bills. While I got mad at him for staying up late watching those stupid car restoration shows on TV. He knew he was dying, and he spent his last months making sure we'd be okay without him. I call my mother, even though talking to her makes my chest hurt. "Oh, Nora, honey," she says, and I can hear the TV in the background, probably watching her soap operas. "How are you holding up? Becca's engagement party was just beautiful. She looked like something out of a fairy tale. I took so many pictures. I need you all to come to a will reading tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Mom." Actually laughs. "A will reading? Sweetheart, Marcus was a mechanic. What kind of will could he possibly have? We're supposed to have brunch tomorrow with David's parents to talk about wedding plans. If you don't come, you forfeit any inheritance." The TV goes quiet in the background. "What inheritance?" Dad's voice comes on the phone. He must have picked up the extension in the kitchen. "I don't know. The lawyer said Marcus left instructions. Everyone has to be there or they get nothing." I hear them whispering to each other with their hands over the phone. Quick, urgent whispers, like they're planning something. "Fine," Dad says finally, and he sounds annoyed. "But this better not take long. We have important plans." Important plans. More important than the husband I just buried. After I hang up, I call Becca. She answers on the first ring, probably thinking it's someone calling to congratulate her on the engagement. "Nora, I was just about to call you. You missed the most. Amazing party ever. The flowers alone cost more than most people spend on their whole wedding, and the cake was like something from a magazine. There's a will reading tomorrow." "A what?" "Marcus left a will. The lawyer says everyone has to be there or they don't get anything." Becca laughs so hard I have to hold the phone away from my ear. "What could Marcus possibly leave us? His rusty old truck?" "I don't know, but the lawyer seemed serious. David and I were going to look at wedding venues tomorrow. This is such bad timing." Bad timing. Like Marcus planned to die just to inconvenience her wedding planning. 2 o'clock, I say firmly. Fitzgerald and Associates on Main Street. Be there, Becca. I hang up before she can argue. I call Uncle Dave last. He answers with his mouth full, probably eating lunch at his fancy office. Downtown. "Hey, Nora. Sorry I missed the funeral. Sarah." Had that charity thing she couldn't get out of. Sarah's charity thing was more important than Marcus's funeral. Of course it was. "Will reading tomorrow at 2, I tell him. "You have to be there." "Will reading?" He swallows whatever he was eating. "For Marcus? What could he possibly have to leave anyone?" "I guess we'll find out tomorrow." Look, I've got back-to-back meetings all afternoon. Dave. I use the voice I save for when the kids are in real trouble. "Be there, or forfeit whatever Marcus left you." He agrees, but I can tell he thinks I'm wasting his time. That night, I lie in bed staring at the ceiling. Marcus's side still smells like his aftershave and the motor oil that never quite washed out of his skin. I hug his pillow tight and whisper to the empty room. "What did you do, Marcus? What aren't you telling me?" Outside, the wind makes the oak tree scrape against the bedroom window. It sounds like fingernails on glass, like someone trying to get in, or maybe someone trying to get out. Tomorrow my family will show up expecting nothing. Tomorrow they'll sit in a lawyer's office, rolling their eyes and checking their watches, annoyed that the poor relatives are wasting their precious time. They have no idea what's coming. They have no idea that Marcus spent 6 months planning something that will change all our lives forever. I close my eyes and try to sleep, but all I can think about is the look on their faces when they realize they were wrong about everything. When they discover that the man they looked down on was smarter than all of them combined. Marcus always said actions speak louder than words. Tomorrow, his final action will speak. Volumes. They show up 10 minutes late, all of them together. Like they planned it. Mom, Dad, Becca, her fiancé David, and my brother Dave with his wife Sarah. They look annoyed and impatient, like I'm wasting their valuable time with this nonsense. Becca wears a new designer dress I've never seen before. Probably bought it with engagement money. The fabric looks expensive, the kind that costs more than I spend on groceries in a month. David checks his gold watch every few seconds and sighs loudly. Uncle Dave scrolls through his phone, not even pretending to care. Sarah examines her perfect manicure like it's the most interesting thing in the world. Only Mom and Dad look a little uncomfortable. They keep glancing at me, then looking away. Quickly, when I catch them. "This is ridiculous, Nora," Becca says, as we walk into the law office building. "Marcus fixed cars for a living. What kind of will could he possibly have? A toolbox and some motor oil?" She laughs at her own joke. David smirks and adjusts his expensive tie. The lawyer's office is fancier than I expected. Real wood furniture that smells like lemon polish. Thick burgundy carpets that swallow the sound of our footsteps. Oil paintings of serious-looking men in old-fashioned suits hang on the walls. This is the kind of place where rich people come to. Handle rich people business, not the kind of place for a mechanic's widow. Mr. Fitzgerald is older than he sounded on the phone. Gray hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He wears a navy suit that fits him perfectly and a red tie with tiny gold dots. Everything about him screams expensive and professional. "Thank you all for coming," he says, shaking hands with everyone. "Please, take a seat around the conference table." The conference table is huge and shiny, like something from a movie about important business meetings. Emma and Sam sit on either side of me, swinging their legs nervously. I brought them because Mr. Fitzgerald said Marcus wanted them here for this. My family spreads out around the table, leaving empty chairs between them and us like we might be contagious. Becca pulls out her phone and starts typing. David taps, his fingers on the table impatiently. Dave doesn't even look up from his own phone. "Before we begin," Mr. Fitzgerald says, opening a thick folder, "I want you to know that Marcus spent considerable time preparing this will. Every word was carefully chosen. He asked me to read it exactly as written, without explanation or commentary, until the end." Becca rolls her eyes so hard I'm surprised they don't fall out of her head. "Can we just get this over with? We have dinner reservations." Dinner reservations. 4 days after Marcus's funeral, and she's worried about dinner. Reservations. Mr. Fitzgerald ignores her and begins reading in a clear, strong voice. "The last will and testament of Marcus James Chen, written in sound mind and body on March 15th of this year." My family shifts in their seats. This feels too formal, too official for a mechanic's will. Dad sits up straighter. Mom puts her hand to her throat. "To my beloved wife, Nora, who gave me 17 years of pure happiness, and to my children. Emma and Sam, who made every single day worth living. This will is my final gift to you, and my final message to those who should have loved you better." The room goes completely silent. Even David stops checking his phone. Even Dave looks up from his screen. "I discovered my cancer diagnosis 6 months before my death. I chose not to tell my family, immediately because I wanted time to arrange my affairs and, frankly, to test the character of those around us." Becca's face turns bright red. How could he possibly know? "Please," Mr. Fitzgerald says firmly. "Let me continue. During these 6 months, I watched and waited to see who would stand by my wife when she needed them most. I watched a family choose a party over a funeral. I watched parents abandon their daughter in her darkest hour. I watched siblings value celebration over consolation. Mom starts crying quietly. Dad stares at his hands like they hold answers to questions he doesn't want to ask. I worked 2 jobs for the last 3 years of my life. During the day, I fixed cars at Tommy's Auto Shop for $22 an hour. At night and on weekends, I designed automotive software systems in our garage. My mouth falls open. Marcus worked late in the garage all the time, but I thought he was just tinkering with old car parts. He never said anything about software or computer programs. The software patents I developed are now used by 14 major car manufacturers worldwide, including Ford, General Motors, Toyota, and Mercedes-Benz. The silence in the room is so complete I can hear my own heartbeat. 14 major car companies? Marcus, my Marcus who clipped coupons and bought day-old bread, was working with Mercedes-Benz? The software patents I hold are worth approximately $12 million. The licensing fees generate roughly $2 million annually in passive income. Someone gasps. I think it might be me. $12 million. Marcus was worth $12 million, and I had no idea. We lived in our tiny house with the leaky roof and the broken air conditioner because he wanted to seem normal. He wanted to see who would love us for who we were, not what we had. Therefore, Mr. Fitzgerald continues, I leave my entire estate, including all patents, licensing agreements, real estate holdings, and liquid assets, to my wife, Nora Chen, and my children, Emma and Sam Chen. He keeps reading details about trust funds and investments, but I can't hear anything over the sound of blood rushing in my ears. $12 million. Marcus left us $12 million. And to the members of Nora's family, Patricia and Robert Morrison, Rebecca Morrison and David Clark, David Morrison and Sarah Morrison, I leave the following message. Everyone leans forward like they're watching a movie, and this is the exciting part. You had a choice on the day of my funeral. You could choose love or convenience, family or social status, grief or celebration. You could stand by a grieving widow and 2 fatherless children, or you could choose cake and champagne and pretty dresses. Becca stands up so fast her chair tips over. This is insane. He can't just... Sit down, Rebecca, Mr. Fitzgerald says in a voice that could freeze fire. I'm not finished. She sits, but her hands are shaking with anger or shock or both. You chose wrong. 3 simple words that hit the room like a bomb. I leave each of you exactly what you gave my family in our time of greatest need. Nothing. You will receive no inheritance, no gifts, no financial assistance from my estate. Ever. Uncle Dave finds his voice first. You can't be serious. We're family. This has to be illegal. Furthermore, Mr. Fitzgerald continues like Dave never spoke. Any attempt to contest this will, to manipulate my wife or children, or to claim emotional distress over these decisions will result in immediate legal action. I have set aside $1 million specifically for legal fees to protect my family from your greed. The room explodes. Everyone starts talking at once. Becca is crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. David is shouting about how unfair this is. Dave keeps saying this can't be legal over and over like a broken record. Sarah just stares at the table in shock. But through all the noise and anger and confusion, I hear something else. I hear Marcus's voice, like he's sitting right next to me, whispering in my ear. I told you I'd always take care of you. Nora, I told you everything would be okay. And for the first time since he died, I believe everything might actually be okay. After my family storms out, Becca screaming about getting lawyers and Dave threatening to fight everything in court, Mr. Fitzgerald leads me and the kids to his private office. Emma and Sam sit in the waiting area with his secretary, who gives them chocolate chip cookies and coloring books. They have no idea their lives just changed forever. Your husband was remarkable, Mr. Fitzgerald says, pulling out another thick folder from his desk drawer. In 6 months, he organized one of the most detailed estates I've ever handled. He shows me documents I can't understand, patents with Marcus's name printed in official letters, bank statements with numbers that make my head spin, property deeds for houses I didn't know we owned. Marcus bought rental properties in 3 different states, Mr. Fitzgerald explains, pointing to addresses in Florida, Texas, and California, all under a business name, so you wouldn't accidentally find out. The rental income alone brings in about $15,000 every month. $15,000 every month. That's more than I made in a whole year at the library. Why didn't he tell me? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. We worried about money constantly. I worked extra shifts to pay for Emma's dance classes. Marcus ate peanut butter sandwiches. Or lunch because we said we couldn't afford deli meat. Mr. Fitzgerald leans back in his leather chair and studies my face. He told me you grew up poor, that your family always made you feel less than them because they had more money. He didn't want you to change. He didn't want people treating you differently because of wealth you hadn't earned yet. That sounds exactly like Marcus. He knew how Becca always showed off her designer purses at family dinners, how my parents compared our tiny house to Dave's big suburban mansion, how odd I felt small and ashamed at family gatherings, wearing clearance clothes while everyone else looked like they stepped out of magazines. But mostly, Mr. Fitzgerald continues, he wanted to see who would stand by you when things got really hard. Money changes people, Mrs. Chen. Marcus wanted to make sure he knew who really loved his family before he left you wealthy. I think about Becca's engagement party, about Mom choosing celebration over compassion, about my family leaving. Me to grieve alone while they danced and ate cake. They failed his test, I whisper. Completely. Mr. Fitzgerald hands me a sealed envelope with my name written on it in Marcus's careful handwriting. Marcus asked me to give you this after the will reading. He said it would explain everything. My hands shake as I tear it open. My dearest. Nora, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and you know the truth about the money. I'm sorry I lied about how much I made. I'm sorry I lied about how long I knew I was sick. But I'm not sorry about protecting you and our children. I started designing software 3 years ago when the doctor found those first strange cells. I wanted to make sure you'd be okay if something happened to me. I never expected to make so much money, but once I did, I knew I had to be very careful. Your family never treated you the way you deserved. They made you feel small because you didn't have what they had. I watched you apologize for things that weren't your fault. I watched them take your kindness for granted year after year. So I decided to test them. I wanted to see if they would choose you when it really mattered. I hoped they would surprise me. I hoped they would prove me wrong. They didn't. But here's what I want you to know. Their failure says nothing about you and everything about them. You are worth $12 million and $12 million more. You are worth showing up for. You are worth choosing over parties and convenience. Take our children and build a beautiful life. Travel to all those places we always talked about, visiting. Send Emma to the best dance school in the country. Get Sam that expensive telescope he wants. Buy yourself pretty dresses and wear them because you deserve beautiful things. Don't let guilt make you share this money with people who didn't earn it through love. They made their choice. Let them live with it. And Nora, I need you to know that every single day I spent with you was a gift. You made a car mechanic feel like a king. You made our little house feel like a palace. You gave me 17 years of perfect happiness. I love you forever and always. Marcus, P.S. There's one more surprise waiting for you. Check the garage when you get home. I fold the letter carefully and put it in my purse. Mr. Fitzgerald hands me tissues and pretends not to notice me crying. We spend 2 more hours going over paperwork. Bank accounts to transfer, investment portfolios to understand, property management companies to contact, My head spins with all the information. "I've arranged for a financial advisor," Mr. Fitzgerald says. "Someone Marcus interviewed and approved months ago. She'll help you understand everything and make smart decisions." When we finally leave the law office, Emma and Sam are excited about their cookies but confused about why everyone was upset. "Are we really rich now?" Sam asks as we drive home in our old Honda. "Yes," I say, still not believing it myself. "Daddy worked very hard to take care of us." "Does that mean we can get a dog?" Emma asks hopefully. I laugh, my first real laugh in weeks. "Yes, baby. We can definitely get a dog. A big dog. Any size dog you want." At home, I remember Marcus's note about the garage. I walk out there with Emma and Sam following behind me, curious about what we might find. Marcus's workbench still looks the same. Tools scattered around, car parts in boxes, the smell of motor oil and sawdust. But there's something new sitting on top of his red toolbox. A metal lockbox with another envelope taped to the top. Inside the envelope is a small brass key and a note for the kids' college funds and whatever dreams they want to chase. The key opens the lockbox. Inside are more documents, but these are different. Stock certificates, government bonds, investment accounts set up specifically for Emma and Sam. My husband didn't just leave us $12 million. According to these papers, he left us $26 million. At the bottom of the box is a photograph I've never seen before. Marcus and me on our wedding day, but taken by a guest, not the professional photographer. We're laughing at something off camera, looking at each other instead of posing. We look so young and so happy and so completely in love. On the back, Marcus wrote, "This is how I want you to remember us. Not the end, but the beginning." That night, after Emma and Sam fall asleep, I sit in Marcus's recliner and think about everything that happened today. My family discovered that the poor relatives they looked down on are now worth more than all of them combined. The sister who chose her engagement party over my husband's funeral just lost millions of dollars. But that's not what Marcus wanted. He didn't want revenge. He wanted to take care of us. He wanted to make sure Emma and Sam never feel less than anyone. He wanted me to hold my head high around people who used to make me feel worthless. My phone rings. Mom's number. "Nora, honey," she says, and her voice sounds different, careful, scared. "We need to talk. About today. About everything that happened." "Do we?" I ask. "That money. Marcus couldn't have meant what he said. We're family. Family forgives each other. Family helps each other." I think about Marcus's letter, about his request that I not let guilt make me share what they didn't earn through love. "You're right, Mom," I say calmly. "Family does forgive each other, and I forgive you for missing the funeral. I forgive you for choosing Becca's party over my grief. I forgive you for all of it." "Oh, sweetheart, thank you." But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. Marcus left you exactly what you gave us when we needed you most. Nothing. I hang up before she can respond. Outside, the stars shine down on our little house that we'll probably keep living in for a while. Not because we have to anymore, but because it's full of memories of Marcus. Because it's where he loved us. Because it's home. Tomorrow will bring new challenges. Tomorrow I'll have to figure out how to be rich instead of poor. But tonight, for the first time since Marcus died, I feel something I haven't felt in weeks. Hope. 6 months later, I'm standing in the kitchen of our new house. Not a mansion, I didn't want that. Just a bigger place with better schools nearby and a yard large enough for the golden retriever puppy Emma named Sunshine. The kitchen has granite counters and a dishwasher that actually works, but it still feels like home. The financial advisor Marcus chose was exactly right for us. Her name is Linda Martinez, and she explains money things in ways I can understand. She helped me quit my job at the library, not because I had to, but because I wanted to focus on Emma and Sam while they healed from losing their father. They're doing better than I expected. Both kids see a counselor who specializes in helping children deal with losing a parent. Emma comes home from dance class exhausted but glowing every day. She started at the Riverside Academy of Dance, one of the best schools in the state. Sam got his telescope and spends hours every night looking at stars, drawing pictures of what he sees in a special notebook. Sometimes I sit with him in the backyard, and he tells me about planets and constellations and galaxies far away. Marcus would have loved listening to Sam talk about space and science. I'm different now, too. Not because of the money exactly, but because of what Marcus's gift really meant. He didn't just leave us rich, he left us free. Free from worrying about grocery bills and car repairs and whether we could afford Emma's dance shoes. Free from feeling grateful for scraps of attention from people who should have loved us better. Free from my family. The doorbell rings while I'm making dinner. Through the window, I see a car I recognize. Becca's silver BMW is parked in my driveway. She looks different when I open the door, thinner than before. Her engagement ring still catches the light, but her eyes look tired and sad. "Hi, Nora." "Hi." We stand there for a moment, not sure what to say. 6 months ago, she was screaming at me in a lawyer's office. 6 months ago, she chose champagne and cake over my tears. "Can I come in?" I step aside and let her into the foyer. She looks around at the new house, not with envy, exactly, but with something that might be regret. "You look good," she says. "Thank you." "The kids?" "They're good, happy, getting stronger every day." Becca nods and fidgets with her purse strap. "David and I broke up. I'm surprised by this news, but I try not to show it." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you?" she asks, and there's no anger in her voice, just curiosity. I think about it honestly. "Yes, I am sorry. I know you loved him." Tears start forming in her eyes. "He only wanted me for Dad's construction business. When he found out about Marcus's money, when he realized our family isn't the wealthy one anymore." She shrugs sadly. "He showed his true colors pretty quickly." I lead her to the living room. We sit on opposite ends of the couch, like we're afraid to get too close to each other. "Mom and Dad are having money problems," she says quietly. "Dad's business isn't doing well. They might lose the house." I wait for her to ask, for the request I know must be coming. "I'm not here to ask for money," she says, surprising me completely. "No?" "I mean, I thought about it. We all thought about it. Dave keeps saying we should get lawyers and contest the will, find some legal loophole, but I keep thinking about that day." "What day?" "The funeral." She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. "I keep thinking about how you must have felt, burying Marcus with only 13 people there. How you must have felt watching us celebrate while you grieved alone." I don't say anything. There's nothing to say that would change what happened. I was wrong, Becca continues, her voice getting smaller. "We were all wrong, and I don't know how to fix it." "You can't," I say gently. "What's done is done." "I know. But I want you to know that I think about it every single day. I think about the person I was that day, and I don't like her very much." We sit in silence for a while. Outside, Emma and Sam are playing with sunshine in the backyard. Their laughter drifts through the open windows like music. "They sound happy," Becca says. "They are. It took time, but they're healing." "And you?" I consider the question carefully. I'm different, but I'm okay. Becca stands up to leave. At the front door, she turns back to me. "For what it's worth, Marcus was right about us. We failed his test. We failed you. She pauses, looking down at her hands. But maybe that doesn't have to be the end of our story. After she leaves, I think about what she said. Maybe it doesn't have to be the end. But it's definitely not the beginning either. Too much has happened. Too much has been revealed about who people really are when it matters most. That evening, I call Mr. Fitzgerald. I want to set up a scholarship fund, I tell him. For kids who lose parents, something to help with school costs and counseling and things like that. That's a wonderful idea, Mrs. Chen. What would you like to call it? I think about Marcus, working late nights in the garage, building a fortune, in secret while I worried about buying generic cereal. I think about him testing my family's character and being disappointed but not surprised by what he found. The Marcus Chen Memorial Fund for Families in Need. Perfect. How much would you like to start with? $2 million, I say without hesitation. And I want it to grow every year. After I hang up, I go outside where Emma and Sam are lying on a blanket, looking up at the stars through Sam's telescope. Mom, come see, Emma calls. Sam found Saturn's rings. I lie down between them on the soft grass, looking up at the infinite sky. Marcus used to do this with us sometimes before he got sick. He'd point out different constellations and make up silly stories about the pictures they made in the stars. Dad would love this, Sam says quietly. He does love it, I correct gently. Wherever he is, he loves seeing you both so happy. Emma rolls over and looks at me with serious eyes. Do you miss being poor? The question catches me off guard. What do you mean, sweetheart? Like when we worried about money all the time. When you worked extra hours and Dad ate those gross sandwiches. Do you miss any of that? I think about the stress of checking our bank balance before going to the grocery store. About buying day-old bread and clipping coupons from the Sunday paper. About lying awake at night, wondering how we'd pay for car repairs or doctor visits. No, I say, honestly, I don't miss that part. But I miss thinking your father was just a regular mechanic. I miss the simple version of our life, when everything seemed normal. But the simple version wasn't really real, Sam points out with 9-year-old logic. Dad was always smart and rich. We just didn't know it. He's absolutely right. Marcus was always brilliant, always hardworking, always completely devoted to us. The money didn't change who he was. It just revealed who everyone else really was. My phone buzzes with a text message from Dave. Can we please talk? The family needs to stick together. I delete it without responding. Another text comes in, this time from Mom. I know you're angry, but we're still family. Family forgives and helps each other. I delete that one too. Family isn't just about sharing blood. It's about showing up when things get hard. It's about choosing love over convenience. It's about standing by each other when the whole world falls apart. Marcus understood that perfectly. He spent his last months creating a test that revealed the truth about everyone around us. He left us not just money, but knowledge. The knowledge of who we can count on and who we can't trust. Mom, Emma says softly, are you okay? I look at my children, my brilliant, strong, wonderful children, who lost their father but gained security and self-worth, who learned early that some people will disappoint you, but the right people will always show up when you need them. I'm perfect, baby, I tell her truthfully. We're all going to be just perfect. Above us, the stars shine down like promises. Like Marcus watching over us from somewhere far away, making sure we're safe and happy, making sure his final gift keeps giving us everything we need. Tomorrow I'll wake up in a house we own, with money in the bank and endless possibilities ahead of us. Tomorrow I'll continue building the life Marcus dreamed we could have. But tonight, lying here under the stars with my children, I already have everything that truly matters. 1 year after Marcus died, Mr. Fitzgerald calls with news that changes everything I thought I knew about my husband's final months. "Mrs. Chen, I need you to come to my office. There's something Marcus wanted you to know, but only after a full year had passed." Emma and Sam are at school, so I drive downtown alone. Mr. Fitzgerald looks nervous when I arrive, which is strange for him. He's usually so calm and professional. "Sit. Down, please," he says, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. "What I'm about to tell you might be difficult to hear." He pulls out a folder I've never seen before. This one is thicker than all the others, stuffed with papers and photographs. "Marcus didn't just test your family's character during his final months. He'd been testing them for 3 years. My stomach drops like I'm falling down a deep hole. "What do you mean?" "The precancerous cells I mentioned when we first met? They never became actual cancer. Marcus was never really dying." The room starts spinning around me. "What?" "Marcus was sick, yes. He had some health problems that made him think about death and what would happen to you and the children. But the terminal cancer diagnosis was fake. He created false medical records, pretended to have doctor appointments, even staged fake treatments." I can't breathe. Marcus wasn't dying? He lied about having cancer? "Why would he do that?" I whisper. Mr. Fitzgerald opens the folder and shows me documents I don't understand at first. Then I realize what they are: private investigator reports. Photos of my family taken without their knowledge. Recorded conversations. "Marcus hired investigators to watch your family for 3 years. He suspected they only tolerated you because they thought you needed their help. He wanted proof." I stare at photos of my parents laughing at a restaurant, talking about my pathetic little house. Audio recordings of Becca calling me the charity case of the family while talking to her friends. Video footage of Dave making jokes about Marcus being too stupid to make real money. He recorded them talking about us? He needed evidence. Not for legal reasons, but for emotional ones. He wanted to be absolutely certain about their character before he made his final decision. My hands shake as I flip through the reports. 3 years of documentation. 3 years of my family mocking us behind our backs while smiling to our faces. "The fake cancer diagnosis was the ultimate test," Mr. Fitzgerald continues. "Marcus knew that if they couldn't show up for a funeral, they would never show up for anything important." I feel sick to my stomach. Marcus spent 3 years planning this elaborate trick. 3 years pretending to be dying. 3 years lying to me about everything. "Where is he?" I ask quietly. Mr. Fitzgerald looks confused. "What do you mean?" "If he's not dead, where is Marcus?" The silence stretches too long. Mr. Fitzgerald's face goes pale. "Mrs. Chen, Marcus is dead. The cancer was real. But it wasn't the cancer he told you about." He slides another document across the desk. A real death certificate. A real medical report from a real doctor. Marcus developed aggressive brain cancer during the final month of his 3-year plan. By the time doctors found it, it was too late for any treatment. He had maybe 6 weeks to live. The room tilts sideways. So he was really dying, but not from the cancer he told me about? Exactly. The timing was cruel irony. He spent 3 years pretending to be terminally ill, and then actually became terminally ill just as his plan reached its peak. I can't process this information. Marcus lied about having cancer, then got real cancer and died. Anyway, what kind of horrible joke is that? "He asked me to give you this," Mr. Fitzgerald says, handing me a final envelope. He wrote it during his last week, when he knew the brain cancer was real and there was no hope. I open it with trembling hands. "My beloved Nora, if you're reading this, then you know the truth about everything. I know this makes me sound like a terrible person, I know you probably hate me right now, but please let me try to explain. 3 years ago, when the doctor found those first strange cells that turned out to be nothing, I started really paying attention to how your family treated you. I heard the way they talked to you, like you should. Be grateful for scraps of their attention. I saw how they made you feel small and worthless. I decided to test them. I created the fake cancer diagnosis because I wanted to see what they would do if you really needed them. Would they step up and show their true hearts? Would they choose love over convenience? For 3 years, I watched them fail every small test. They missed Emma's dance recitals because they had more important plans. They forgot Sam's birthday 2 years in a row. They rolled their eyes when you needed help with anything. But I kept hoping they would surprise me when it really mattered. I kept thinking that in a true crisis, they would choose family over everything else. Then I got the brain cancer diagnosis. Real cancer this time, fast and deadly. And I realized that fate was giving me one final chance to protect you and our children from people who would never truly value you. So I kept the fake timeline. I let them think I'd been sick for 3 weeks instead of 3 years. I gave them one last opportunity to do the right thing. They chose a party instead. Nora, I need you to understand. Every single thing I did was to protect you. The money, the tests, even the lies. I couldn't bear the thought of leaving you, dependent on people who saw you as less than them. I know you're angry. I know this feels like the ultimate betrayal. But please remember that I loved you enough to spend my final years making sure you'd never need anyone who wouldn't choose you first. You are worth choosing first. You are worth showing up for. Don't ever let anyone make you feel otherwise again. All. My love, always and forever, Marcus P.S. The investigators found something else about your family. Check the final folder. Mr. Fitzgerald hands me one last folder. Inside are financial records for my family that make my blood run cold. Dad's construction business is failing because he's been stealing money from clients. Becca's engagement was fake. David was already married to someone else and scamming her for money. Dave has been embezzling from his accounting firm for years. My family isn't just selfish and cruel. They're criminals. Marcus wanted you to have this information, in case they ever tried to manipulate you with sad stories about needing help, Mr. Fitzgerald explains. He wanted you to know exactly who they really are underneath everything. I sit back in my chair, completely overwhelmed. Marcus wasn't just protecting us from emotional manipulation. He was protecting us from people who might drag us into their illegal activities if they got desperate enough. There's one more thing, Mr. Fitzgerald says. Marcus arranged for anonymous tips about your family's criminal activities to be sent to the police. The tips were scheduled to go out exactly 1 year after his death. Today? Today. As if summoned by our conversation, my phone starts ringing. Mom's number flashes on the screen. I don't answer. It rings again. Dad's number this time. I don't answer that either. Text messages start pouring in. Panicked messages about police investigations and needing lawyers and asking for help. I turn off my phone completely. Marcus thought of everything, I say quietly. He loved you more than life itself, Mr. Fitzgerald replies. Even his lies were acts of pure love. I drive home in a complete daze. Marcus lied to me for 3 years, but he lied to protect me from people who would have eventually destroyed our lives. He lied because he loved me more than he feared my anger. When I get home, Emma and Sam are doing homework at the kitchen table. They look up and smile when I walk in, like they do every day. "How was your day, Mom?" Emma asks innocently. I look at my children, healthy, happy, and completely secure. I think about the life Marcus built for us. the protection he provided in ways I'm only now beginning to understand. "It was perfect, sweetheart," I tell her honestly. "Everything is absolutely perfect." Because it is. Marcus's greatest deception was also his greatest act of love. He spent 3 years exposing my family's true nature, and then he spent his final months making sure they could never hurt us again. Even death couldn't stop him from protecting us. 2 weeks after learning the truth about Marcus, I'm still trying to decide how I feel about everything. Angry, grateful, betrayed, protected, maybe all of those feelings at the same time. The kids don't know about the fake cancer or the 3-year investigation. They don't need to know their father spent his final years playing detective against their own grandparents. All they need to know is that he loved them enough to make sure they'd always be safe. My family's legal troubles are front-page news in our small town. Dad's construction company is being investigated for fraud and using cheap materials that made houses unsafe. 3 families had to move out because their roofs were falling down. The police found evidence that he charged people for expensive supplies, but used cheap ones instead. Becca's fake engagement made the society pages when David's real wife showed up with a lawyer. Turns out he's been running the same trick on wealthy women for years, promising marriage while already being married to someone else. Becca lost thousands of dollars on wedding preparations for a wedding that was never going to happen. Dave's embezzling from his accounting firm is the biggest scandal. He's been stealing from client accounts for 5 years, taking money that belonged to elderly people and small businesses. His wife Sarah filed for divorce and claims she never knew anything about it. I should feel sorry for them. They're my family, after all. But every time I start to feel guilty, I remember the investigators' reports. I remember recordings of them laughing about my pathetic life while pretending to care about me. They thought Marcus and I were the losers. They thought they were so much smarter and more successful than us. Marcus was smarter than all of them, put together. The doorbell rings while I'm making lunch for the kids. Through the window, I see a woman I don't recognize. She's older, maybe 60, with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. "Mrs. Chen? I'm Dorothy Hamilton. I worked with Marcus at the Children's Hospital." My blood runs cold. Marcus never worked at a children's hospital. His cancer was fake, remember? "I think there's been a mistake," I say carefully. "May I come in? I have something that belongs to you." Against my better judgment, I let her inside. She sits at my kitchen table and pulls out a thick photo album. "Marcus volunteered at Children's General every week for 3 years, she says, opening the album. "He wasn't a patient, but he was helping kids who were really sick." The first page is full of pictures I've never seen before. Marcus at a hospital, reading stories to bald children who are clearly getting cancer treatment. Marcus in a workshop, teaching kids how to build simple robots. Marcus at a holiday party, dressed as Santa Claus, making sick children laugh. He told us he needed to understand what real suffering looked like, Dorothy explains. Said he wanted to appreciate what he had at home. I flip through more pages, my heart breaking with each photo. Marcus teaching computer skills to teenagers who might not live to graduate. Marcus building wheelchair ramps for kids who couldn't walk. Marcus sitting beside hospital beds, just holding hands with children who were scared and alone. "He never told me about any of this," I whisper. He didn't want praise or credit. He said he was doing it for his own education. Learning about loss and pain and what really mattered in life. The last page shows Marcus at a graduation ceremony. He's wearing a suit I've never seen, beaming with pride as a young woman in a cap and gown hugs him tight. "That's my daughter Sarah," Dorothy says. "She graduated with honors in computer engineering, thanks to Marcus's tutoring. She works for NASA now. None of that would have happened without his help." "Why are you showing me this?" Dorothy closes the album and slides it across the table. Because you need to know who your husband really was. Yes, he tested your family. Yes, he made complicated plans. But he also spent 3 years learning about real pain from people who had nothing but gave everything they could. She stands to leave. The Marcus I knew wasn't a man who lied out of cruelty. He was a man who learned the difference between people who love you and people who use you. After she leaves, I sit at the table looking through the album again. Marcus had a whole secret life I knew nothing about. He was helping people, learning from people, becoming an even better person than the man I married. That evening, Emma finds me crying in the kitchen. "Mom, what's wrong?" I show her the album. Daddy helped a lot of people I didn't know about. Emma sits beside me and looks through the pictures carefully. "He looks really happy," she says. She's right. In every photo, Marcus looks genuinely happy. Not the fake happiness of someone pretending everything is fine, but the deep satisfaction of someone who knows he's doing meaningful work. "Why didn't he tell us?" Sam asks, joining us at the table. "Because he didn't need us to know," I realize, out loud. He wasn't doing it for praise or thanks. He was doing it because it was the right thing to do. That night, after the kids go to bed, I call Mr. Fitzgerald. "I want to expand the scholarship fund," I tell him. "Of course. What did you have in mind?" "I want to help all the places where Marcus volunteered. The Children's Hospital, the Senior Center, the homeless shelter. All of them." "That's a wonderful idea. How much were you thinking?" I look around my beautiful house. I think about my healthy children sleeping upstairs. I think about the security Marcus provided and the truth he revealed, and the love he showed in ways I'm still discovering. $10 million, I say. To start. "Mrs. Chen, that's a very generous amount." Marcus spent 3 years learning about real need from real people. Now I want to help those same people in his memory. After I hang up, I sit in Marcus's chair and think about the man I married versus the man he became. He started as a simple mechanic who loved his family. He ended as someone who understood the difference between surface kindness and deep love. He tested my family not out of cruelty, but out of wisdom. He knew that someday Emma and Sam might need support from their extended family. He wanted to make sure they would never depend on people who would let them down when it mattered most. My phone buzzes with another text from Mom. "Please, Nora. The police are asking questions. We need help. We need family." For the first time in a year, I respond, "You made your choice when Marcus was dying. Live with it." Then I block all their numbers. Marcus was right about them. He was right about everything, and even though his methods were complicated, and his lies were painful, I understand now that everything he did came from a love so deep that it lasted beyond death. He didn't just leave us money. He left us the truth about who we could trust and who we couldn't. He left us free from people who would have eventually hurt us. He left us protected, even when he couldn't be here to protect us himself. That's not betrayal. That's the greatest gift a husband and father could give. 3 years after Marcus died, I get a call that turns my world upside down one last time. "Mrs. Chen? This is Dr. Elizabeth Warren from Seattle General Hospital. I need to speak with you about your husband, Marcus Chen." My heart stops beating. "My husband died 3 years ago. Ma'am, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Can you come to Seattle immediately? There's something you need to see." I arrange for Emma and Sam to stay with their friend's family and catch the first flight to Seattle. Dr. Warren meets me at the hospital, and she looks as confused as I feel. "Mrs. Chen, a patient was brought here yesterday after a bad car accident. He had no identification, but he kept saying your name and address over and over. When we ran his fingerprints through the system..." She leads me down a long white hallway. My legs feel like they're made of water. The fingerprints match Marcus Chen. But according to all our records, Marcus Chen died 3 years ago in your hometown. We stop outside a hospital room. Through the window, I see a man lying in bed, covered in bandages and connected to machines. My knees give out completely. It's Marcus. How is this possible? I whisper. Dr. Warren helps me to a chair in the hallway. We're trying to figure that out ourselves. The patient has been living here in Seattle under the name David Martin. He works as a software engineer for a tech company. According to his coworkers, he has no memory of his life before 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Right when Marcus started his investigation of my family. He has amnesia? Severe memory loss, yes. But yesterday, when the car hit him, something changed. He started remembering things. He's been saying your name and Emma and Sam's names constantly. I can't breathe properly. Marcus is alive? He's been alive this whole time while I mourned him and raised our children alone? Can I see him? Dr. Warren nods. He's awake now, but very confused. I walk into the room on shaking legs. It's definitely Marcus. Older, thinner, with new scars I don't recognize, but it's him. His wedding ring is gone, but there's a pale line on his finger where it used to be. I sit beside his bed and take his hand. It's warm and real and alive. Marcus? I whisper. His eyes flutter open and focus on my face. For a moment, he looks completely blank. Then recognition floods his features like sunrise. Nora? His voice is rough and confused. What? Where am I? How long have I been asleep? Tears stream down my face. You've been gone for 3 years, Marcus. We thought you were dead. Dead? He tries to sit up but winces from his injuries. I don't understand. I remember working in the garage. I remember staying up late on the computer. Then everything goes black until about 6 months ago. 6 months ago was when I started having strange dreams about Marcus being alive, when I would smell his aftershave in empty rooms. When Emma swore she saw someone who looked like him at her school play. The funeral, I say, my voice breaking. We buried you. There was a body and a death certificate and everything. Marcus looks as confused as I feel. If I'm here, then who did you bury? Dr. Warren clears her throat from the doorway. We may have some answers about that. The police searched David Martin's apartment after the accident. They found documents that tell a very strange story. She hands me a manila folder. Inside are medical records, identity documents, and legal papers I don't understand. It appears that Marcus Chen legally changed his identity to David Martin about 5 years ago. But the death certificate for Marcus Chen was filed by someone else entirely. Someone else? The signature on the death certificate belongs to Robert Morrison, my father. The room starts spinning again. Dad filed a fake death certificate for Marcus while Marcus was alive. In Seattle with no memory of us? There's more, Dr. Warren continues. David Martin has been sending large, anonymous donations to children's charities for 3 years. The return address on all the donation receipts leads back to your father's construction company. She shows me copies of donation checks. Thousands of dollars sent to hospitals and schools, all signed by David Martin, but processed through Dad's business account. Your father has been intercepting and stealing Marcus's charitable donations. Money that Marcus thought was helping sick children has been going into your father's pocket instead. I feel like I'm drowning in impossible information. Marcus has been alive this whole time, living with amnesia, still trying to help people. Meanwhile, my father filed a fake death certificate and has been stealing the money Marcus tried to give to charity. The will reading, I whisper. The inheritance. None of it was real. Dr. Warren shakes her head. The $26 million estate doesn't exist. Your father created fake bank statements and legal documents. He hired an actor to play the lawyer. He was planning to steal whatever money he thought Marcus had hidden away. Marcus squeezes my hand. Nora, what inheritance? What will? What happened while I was gone? So I tell him everything. About the fake cancer diagnosis and the will reading that made us millionaires. About how my family chose Becca's engagement party over his funeral. About the 3-year investigation that exposed their criminal activities. Marcus listens with growing horror and confusion. I don't remember any of that. The investigation, the cancer diagnosis, none of it. Because it wasn't you, I realize with cold certainty. Someone else has been pretending to be you for 3 years. As if the universe wants to answer my question, my phone rings. Mr. Fitzgerald's number. Mrs. Chen, you need to get back here immediately. We've made a shocking discovery about the Marcus Chen who hired me 3 years ago. What kind of discovery? He wasn't your husband. The real Marcus Chen has been missing for 5 years. The man who created the will, who planned the investigation, who died of brain cancer, he was someone else entirely. I look at Marcus lying in the hospital bed, confused and hurt, and very much alive. Who? I ask. Who would do something like that? We're still investigating, but Mrs. Chen, the $26 million is real. Whoever impersonated your husband actually was worth that much money. And according to the real will, we just found he left every penny to you and your children. I hang up the phone and stare at Marcus, my real husband, who's been living in Seattle with amnesia, while a stranger lived his life and died in his place. Nora, Marcus says quietly, who died at my funeral? I don't have an answer, but I'm starting to suspect that the biggest shock of all is still coming. I don't know, I whisper, but I think we're about to find out. The truth comes out 3 days later, when Marcus is strong enough to travel home with me. We walk into our house, the house he's never seen before, bought with money from a dead stranger's will. And he looks around like he's visiting a foreign planet. Emma and Sam stare at their father like he's a ghost. To them, he might as well be. They mourned him for 3 years, learned to live without him, built new memories with a man who wasn't really him. Now he's back, confused and lost, and trying to understand why everyone thought he was dead. Dad? Emma whispers, her voice small and uncertain. Is it really you? Marcus kneels down and pulls them both into a hug. It's me, sweetheart. I don't understand what happened, but it's really me. Sam pulls back and looks at him with suspicious 12-year-old eyes. Prove it. What? Prove you're our real dad. What did you call Mom when you were really happy? Marcus smiles for the first time since I found him. Sunshine. I called her Sunshine because she made every day brighter. Sam's face crumbles, and he throws himself back into Marcus's arms. We thought you were gone forever. We thought you left us alone. I would never leave you, Marcus promises, his own voice breaking. I don't know what happened, but I would never, ever leave you. That afternoon, the real Mr. Fitzgerald arrives at our house with a box of evidence and the most impossible story I've ever heard. The man who impersonated your husband was named Michael Chen, he says, spreading documents across our kitchen table. No relation to Marcus, despite the same last name. He was a software engineer worth exactly $26 million, and he was dying of brain cancer. We sit around the table while Mr. Fitzgerald shows us surveillance photos and hospital records. 5 years ago, Michael Chen discovered that Marcus Chen existed. Same job, similar age, similar background. Michael was facing death with no family to mourn him. He became obsessed with the idea of living someone else's life before he died. He shows us photos of Michael watching our house, following Marcus to work, learning everything about our daily routines. Michael arranged Marcus's disappearance. He drugged him and had him committed to a psychiatric hospital under a false name, claiming Marcus was delusional and believed he was someone else. I feel sick to my stomach. Marcus was in a mental hospital for 2 years. During that time, Michael lived Marcus's life. He went to work in Marcus's place, came home to this house, pretended to be your husband. Marcus looks hurt and confused. But I don't remember any of that. The drugs they gave you in the hospital caused severe memory loss. When you finally escaped, you had no memory of your real identity. You made your way to Seattle and started over as David Martin. I think about the last 2 years of my marriage before Marcus got sick. The husband who seemed different somehow, more distant, more secretive, who worked late and seemed distracted. That wasn't Marcus, I whisper. For 2 years, I was married to a complete stranger. Michael Chen knew he was dying, Mr. Fitzgerald continues. He decided to use his final months to give you something the real Marcus never could, wealth and protection from your toxic family. The investigation of my family. All real. Michael hired private detectives because he genuinely cared about you and the children. He wanted to make sure you'd be safe after he died. Marcus looks hurt and angry. So while I was locked away in some hospital, another man was living with my wife, raising my children? Yes, Mr. Fitzgerald says gently. But Marcus, he loved them. In his own complicated way, Michael Chen loved your family enough to die protecting them. Emma speaks up, her voice small. The dad who got sick and died, that wasn't our real dad? No, sweetheart. Your real dad is sitting right here. Sam looks between Marcus and me with 9-year-old logic. So, the dad who died was trying to help us, even though he wasn't really our dad. That's right. Sam thinks about this seriously. So he was a good person who did bad things for good reasons? Mr. Fitzgerald nods. That's exactly right, Sam. Marcus stands up and walks to the window, staring out at the backyard where Emma and Sam used to play with the man they thought was their father. My children bonded with an imposter, he says quietly. My wife grieved for a man who stole my life. And I'm supposed to just, what, pretend none of this happened? I don't have an answer. How do you rebuild a family when half the memories aren't real? There's one more thing, Mr. Fitzgerald says. Michael left a letter for you, Marcus. He wrote it just before he died. Marcus takes the envelope with shaking hands and reads silently. After several minutes, tears start rolling down his cheeks. What does it say? I ask. Marcus wipes his eyes and reads aloud. Marcus, if you're reading this, then you survived, and my plan worked. I know you probably hate me. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I need you to understand why. I was dying completely alone. No family, no children, no one who would remember my name. After I was gone. Then I saw you with your wife and kids, and I felt something I'd never experienced before. Pure envy. Not for your money or your house, but for the love surrounding you. I didn't mean for it to go so far. I just wanted to experience being truly loved for a little while, before I died. But the longer I lived your life, the more I realized how precious it was, how lucky you were, how much your family needed protecting from people who didn't deserve them. So I used my final months to give them what I could, security and freedom from toxic people, who would have eventually destroyed their happiness. I know I stole 2 years of your life. I know I can never make that right. But I hope someday you can forgive a dying man for borrowing your happiness and trying to leave you something valuable in return. Take care of them, Marcus. They're the most precious thing in the world. Michael Chen. The room is quiet for a long time. Finally, Emma breaks the silence. So the other dad loved us too? Marcus nods slowly. Yes, baby. I think he did. And he made sure we'd be safe? Yes. Sam looks thoughtful. Can we love both dads? The real one and the one who helped us? The question breaks my heart and heals it at the same time. How do you explain to a child that they can love the memory of someone who wasn't really their father but died protecting them? Anyway. Yes, Marcus says quietly, his voice full of emotion. We can love both dads. That night, after the kids finally fall asleep, Marcus and I sit on our back porch looking at the stars. We're both completely different people than we were 5 years ago. He's been through trauma I can't imagine. I've been widowed, made wealthy, and now I'm trying to figure out how to be married again. Do you hate me? I ask. For not knowing. He wasn't you? Marcus takes my hand. The same hand Michael held for 2 years while pretending to be my husband. How could you have known? He studied me for months. He learned everything about me, about us. He fooled everyone. But I should have sensed something. I should have known my own husband. Maybe part of you did know, Marcus says gently. Maybe that's why you always felt like something was wrong during those last 2 years. He's right. I did feel like my husband was slowly disappearing, even before he got sick. What do we do now? I ask. Marcus looks at our house, bought with money from a dead imposter's love. At the life built on the foundation of another man's sacrifice. We figure it out, he says. All of it. Together. The money. Keep it. Michael earned it honestly, and he wanted you to have it. Use it to take care of our children and help other people, just like he planned. And my family? Marcus smiles grimly. Michael was right about them. They showed their true nature when they thought I was dying. That part of his plan was perfect. Above us, the stars shine down like witnesses to the strangest love story ever told. A dying man who stole another man's life, then spent his final months protecting that man's family. A woman who mourned the wrong husband but received the right inheritance. A family torn apart by deception, but ultimately saved by an impossible kind of love. Michael Chen's lie was also his greatest truth. He really did love us enough to die for us. And somehow, in the end, that love brought the real Marcus home. That's the end of Nora's incredible story. A tale of betrayal, secrets, and love that goes beyond anything we could imagine. I hope this story touched your heart and reminded you that family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them most. Where are you listening? From today, drop your city or country in the comments below. I love hearing from all of you around the world. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more stories about kindness, love, and the amazing things people do for each other. And speaking of amazing stories, there's another incredible tale waiting for you right now. Click on the video appearing on your screen to discover another story that will warm your heart and restore your faith in humanity. Thank you for listening, and remember, kindness always wins in the end. Until next time, keep spreading love.